episode 43 of the YarnderWoman podcast. My name is Melinda. You can find me as YarnderWoman on Instagram and Ravelry. We've got a Ravelry group for the podcast called YarnderWoman Podcast, and all the show notes can be found at www.yarnderwoman.blogspot.com.au. Today is Saturday the 30th of April 2016, and as always I'm coming to you from Perth in Western Australia. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone who is returning, everyone who is new, everyone, welcome. It's lovely to spend some time with you, and I've got a few finished objects to show you. They're only small items, but hey, it all counts, doesn't it? And some almost finished objects actually in my works in progress. So let's go on now and broach the subject. Today's brooch we have seen before. It's this cutie pie little ghost, which is from Tall Rabbit, which is a WA company, and you can find them on Etsy. Now, the reason I've chosen this brooch today is because it tied in nicely with my t-shirt. I'm just going to wriggle up. So you can see we've got Meg and Jack from the band The White Stripes, who are sadly no longer together, but who will always have a special place in my heart and my music collection. They have a song called Little Ghost, so hence the tie-in. Though I did buy this brooch originally in reference to the song Ghost by The National, another fantastic band. I will link to both of them in the show notes in case you want to check them out. Now, as I said, we have seen this ghost. It is a ghost. This brooch before. The reason I'm mentioning it today is because Tall Rabbit is one of our prize sponsors for our hat knit-along. Now, as I said, today is the 30th of April, which is the last day of that knit-along. So I'm not going to be announcing any of the winners today because you might all still be knitting away furiously while I'm recording this. But I will show you some of the brooches that have been donated by Tall Rabbit. Now, this one is actually my alpaca, and it's washing out a bit there. Oh, there we go. It's a mint green colour, my one. Now, the ones that we have for the prize, we have a blue one and a black one. No, I have a black one. We have a blue one and a sort of natural wood coloured one, like the back colour of this one. I haven't brought them with me. I don't know why, but I have my own little one. So the prizes I'll be announcing in the next episode. So we have 2 alpacas, and we also have 2 shawl patterns, which is very exciting. We've got a copy of The Schmancy by Marsha Ibuki, who is Marsha Fairy Little from Twitch and Stitch. And we have a new pattern prize, which is called the Seeds of Change, which was very generously gifted to me by Quilter Caroline, the designer herself. She's given me a copy and also one for the podcast. So next episode, tune in to see if you're a winner of one of those prizes. Two of my finished objects are from the same pattern. So here's number 1. It's the Bunny Blanket Buddy, which is a free pattern from the Lion Brand Yarn website. And as with everything, the show notes will have a link to my Ravelry project page, so you can then click on to the projects and it will take you straight to the pattern if you're interested. So this little guy, it's like a little snuggly for a baby. So you knit it up in a sort of a square, you knit the arms, which you then tie a little knot in. It's a free pattern, by the way, so I'm not giving anything away that's paid for here. Then you have a head and the ears, and as you can see, the head is stuffed just slightly. I didn't put too much in. Now, the way the head is knitted is really clever. It's the stitches, I think it's purl 1, slip 1, but the way you do it going around, you knit that part in the round, or do you? Yes, anyway, it works. Let's just go with that. It actually makes a little pocket. So by the time you finish and you've done the ears, this little section here is a little pocket for the stuffing when you just cinch it closed. It's very clever. And I really recommend this pattern. I think it makes a great gift for yourself or your friend or whomever. This is for a friend. It is knit in Query Fibre Arts yarn in the colourway All the Crayons in the Box. And this is pretty much all of the, not this project, but I have now used all of that skein. It was worsted weight. I used some to knit a snail shell for my nephew, and this now for a friend. I'm not doing a face on the bunny because the friend that I am sending this to, I know she has an interest or an affinity with sort of the Montessori view of learning and toys, where quite often they don't put faces on the toys because that way the child can imbue their own emotion into what they think the toy is doing. So that way it also makes it reversible, so you know, bonus. So this is number 2. You can see I haven't quite done the head, but that works out well because now I can show you the cool pocket. So, well, maybe I can. You can see probably nothing, but look, my finger can go in there, see? So that's the cool pocket. This one is finished except for the stuffing, so I just have to stuff the... The project was living in this little skein in the big wool bag. The bunnies and lambs, it's so cute, and I thought this one was very appropriate for a baby item. Now I do have one more finished object to show you, but I have already sent it on its way, so I'll now send you back into the past to show you what that last item was. This finished object is my redback spider toy. So if you have arachnophobia or a mild dislike of spiders or anything in between, look away now because I'm going to show. She's not very scary looking, and Sophie the teen, who's walking past, has a bit of a spider fear, but she was okay with it. So, but obviously you judge what you feel comfortable with. So here it comes. I think she's really cute. And that's not in any way to minimise the feelings of anyone who has a phobia, but I am really happy with her.
Even I think it's adorable.
There you go. Hopefully you could hear the ting then. She said even she thinks it's adorable, so there you go. So we have the redback marking there, her 8 lovely legs, and I couldn't find a photo of a redback spider's face, so I just sort of found generic spider face and did the 4 eyes. Okay, so waving now. If you didn't want to look, you can come back now. I will put the links to the name of the pattern in the show notes, as I will with everything. It's a free pattern. It was very easy to make. The actual pattern was for a much smaller finished object. I can't even remember now, I maybe doubled or tripled the sizes. What I did with the legs was, they were just all individual I-cord legs. I just stitched them on with yarn, but then I reinforced it with black sewing thread to give it a bit more strength, as well as sewing a little bit further along so that the legs are attached more to the body, not just at the end. And I think that's going to make it a lot more durable to be played with. So once more, look away if you don't want to see it, because I'll just show the bottom and what I mean about the legs. So not very easy to see, which is good because I didn't want it to be that noticeable. But you can see the legs, you know, come out a bit here more than just falling straight from the middle where they're sewn on. So yes, I'm very happy to have that finished. I'm sending this off and it's going to make its way to Japan tomorrow, my time. And I look forward to hearing what the lovely little lady herself thinks about it. So moving on now, let's go back to the present and we'll have a look at works in progress. And I can report back that the spider has been very, very well received by the recipient. She is very happy and there has been a lot of spider cuddles happening. Now I'll show you the works in progress I've been working on. Speaking of little skein in the big wool bags, this is the bunny bag that I showed you last time. And sorry for the glare. The weather has been a little wintry of late, though having been on Instagram a lot, I know that the US has seen a lot of snow, even though it's supposed to be spring over there. At least here it is autumn, so we're supposed to be having a lot of rain, but it's very grey, but the sky is, the sun is peeking through a little in the sky, so there's a lot of light coming into the side, but hopefully I'll still be able to show you everything in detail. So living in the glary bunny bag, the bag is not usually glary, just sits right now, is the shawl that's getting all tangled in itself that I'm knitting with the sock blank from Gail's Art, and this is how much is left. So I am right near the end of said sock blank, and this is the one that had the bunnies on it, and the bunnies have now all been knit in. So isn't it funny how wibbly wobbly the yarn looks because it's been in the sock blank? think it's really fun, and I can't wait to block the shawl to see the difference. I'll definitely take a before and after photo to show you. So this pattern, my standard favourite, the Knit Night shawl, and it's going very well. As I said, I'm right near the end, and I'm a bit tempted actually to sort of finish up here so that I can keep this bit of purple to put in my sock yarn blanket, which I'll be showing you soon. So we shall see. I might be even closer to the end, but I haven't decided yet. So that is going really, really nicely. I really like these lines here, the pink, yellow and purple, and up here, that's where the rabbits were that were printed onto the sock blank. So I'm very happy with how this is turning out. This is a gift for a friend. Her birthday's coming up in a couple of months. So actually I won't say that. I was going to give something away that would inform said person who it is that would give it away. So pretend I didn't say anything, which I didn't. I'm now just rambling. That's that project. The next project I've been working on that I had hoped to have finished for the end of my own knit-along, being a hat, but I haven't, so never mind. It's not like I'm eligible for prizes anyway. So this is the Beeswax Hat, and it's going really nicely. You can see some of the cabling here. So the pattern is to look like beeswax, hence the name. I'm very good at explaining things, aren't I? So there are a lot of cable patterns to indicate the different layering. I don't know if it's going to be very easy to see. I think when I get a bit further along in the pattern it'll be a lot easier, because there's some parts where it's sort of, you know, layers on layers of cables, which I think will be very fun. So this gorgeous yarn is by One Twisted Tree. It is the Sport / DK weight base that I'm going blank on. Apologies, down here I've gone blank and I haven't got the tag here, but anyway, the colourway is Miss Fisher's Pearl Handled Pistol, and I highly, highly, highly recommend One Twisted Tree yarn. It is wonderful to work with. Now, I should have this finished by next time because it's not taking me very long, and once I get into the groove with it, I don't want to put it down. But clearly I had to put it down at some point, and then I picked up something else along the way. But hey, that's what happens with knitting, isn't it? And the project that I picked up and now haven't been able to put this one down is my Hogwarts Express shawl. Now if I turn it the other way, you'll get to see the very cute little patterns that are on the bottom. There's owls. Look at all the owls. I'm so excited by this shawl. So let me see if I can tell you who it's by. I think it's Susan Crawford, but I could be making it up completely. Susan Ashcroft, my apologies. Susan Crawford does all the lovely vintage designs. So she's at least a designer. I'm not just making up names. So this is a paid for pattern and it is wonderful. I've got to show you again. So here, using cables and beads, is an owl, and the owls go all the way along, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be knitting this, or more to the point, to have finished all the cabling part. So the way the pattern is written, the way it describes the cables, is probably a common way of writing cables, but I'm so inexperienced with cables that I didn't know. But I worked it out. I worked out which way, you know, which one was going to cross. So I was actually doing this as I was looking at it. I was like, okay, if I have 2 stitches there and I cross them that way, that's going to make one kind of cable, and if I cross them at the back, that'll make the other kind. Worked it all out. Did a few on the first row. Yes, I worked it out, yeah! And then I had a look at the chart of the pattern because I may have mentioned before, my brain works better with reading written directions than it does reading symbols on a chart. But it was handy having the chart because then it visually shows the actual owl, so it's not just a pattern as in squiggly lines of a cable. It was actually making it out. So I used the chart to look at what my stitches were doing and what the chart was showing. And I went, oh, I didn't work it out properly at all. I've done it round the wrong way. Oh, well, never mind, tinked back, redid it, got about halfway along. And then I don't know what triggered it in me, obviously my subconscious. I then looked at the chart again and went, hang on a minute. So, as when I showed you this at the beginning, the way I was knitting it, the owls are upside down. So to look at them the right way up, it's the opposite direction that you're knitting in. So what I had done is I had actually done the cables the right way around the first time, and I should have trusted myself, but because I don't have that experience, I didn't trust myself. So, you know, the first cable that you're doing is here, not here, because that's the direction you're knitting. But to visually look at the owl, I'd turned the pattern around, so therefore, the first time I thought it was wrong, it wasn't, it was just I was looking at the pattern the wrong way. But that's okay, this is how we learn, and now I know not to do that, so that's the main thing. But yet, there was more learning to be had, so this has been a very good learning experience. I'm not joking, you know, there were some frustrations along the way, but I have definitely learned a lot, which is a fantastic thing to do in any aspect of life, but especially in knitting. So, you may notice there are eyes on the owl. You know, if we put them around the right way, you can see that they're eyes. And so this was my first beading experience. Now I spoke about this a few episodes ago before I'd done the beading. And I didn't end up needing to look at a tutorial because the pattern actually talks you through how to do it. And I had seen some video or picture of it before, so I thought I had it right in my mind. So it actually went quite well. I used the crochet hook method. So you put the bead onto the crochet hook, then you pull the yarn through the bead. The only thing I found was, because it was such a teeny tiny crochet hook to fit it through the bead, when it was grabbing the yarn, would just grab one of the pieces of fibre, and sometimes it would just pull through that piece of fibre, not the whole stitch, which led to some big fluffy bits, which are not really going to be a problem. Except on this one stitch, you can see it got pulled out so much. It's actually just hanging there at the back, so I've just put this marker on it and I'll just sew that in. But you can see on that one, like the front of it makes no difference. So it's all good. And I just love how the beads look. I think, if I do say so myself, the bead choice is very good. It blends into the yarn, but it's still noticeable. So yes, I really like that. And then further to my learning, as well as, you know, working out my technique of putting the crochet hook in. In reading the pattern, as I said, it's a paid for pattern, so I won't say what it is, but it says, you know, knit X, purl Y, place bead, knit X, purl Y, place bead, etc. So I did this, and the first time I did it, because you put the beads on the wrong side, and then I looked at it and the beads were way off position from where the little owl, that part of the owl is on here. So you may have seen a photo on Instagram where I posted my very first beading, but it was in the wrong place. So picked it out and then looked at the pattern. I thought, I don't know what's happened, if I'm off a stitch or something, but I sort of rewrote the pattern so that it made sense for my stitches. And then I was going along, and again, subconscious worked its way into my mind, my conscious mind. Actually, on that topic, the latest episode of Pink Hair Girl Knits, I think it's called The Aha Moment, is where Sally talks about your subconscious working things out in terms of, I guess, how neuroscience works, where your subconscious just keeps ticking off in the background and you're not actually aware what it's doing, but it works things out for you. And in this case, it worked out that my numbers weren't off. The way the pattern was written was exactly right for what I was doing, but it was my interpretation of, you know, knit X, purl Y, place bead. I thought the place bead also then was the same stitch as what the next stitch in the pattern was. Knit X, purl B, purl B. See, maths was never my thing, and now I just feel like I'm speaking algebra and it's not working out for me. My point is, to this whole thing, I worked out that it was just how I was reading the pattern was throwing me off a stitch. And this is what happened the first time I was knitting a yarn over. Now, yarn over's pretty simple. In a pattern, it'll say knit X, yarn over, knit X, yarn over, whatever. And what I now understand is for the yarn over, you just pull your yarn to the front, keep going with stitches. When I was first learning yarn overs, I don't know where I read this or what I was looking at, and it was in an Australian pattern or something. Anyway, it explained a yarn over as move the yarn to the front, knit one. And so that was my understanding of a yarn over, was that it included not just moving the yarn to the front, but it included the next stitch. So then I was trying to knit a pattern, and I think it was supposed to make like a diamond shape out of yarn overs. But when I was knitting it, the yarn overs were not making a diamond shape, they were just going all over the place. And I went to a knit night that was at a knit cafe that's sadly no longer open. And you actually had to pay $20 to go to the knit night, which is why I didn't used to go. It wasn't close to me, and it was also just a bit too expensive. But as part of that, you didn't get a knitting lesson, but you could get some advice from the people at the cafe or the more experienced people. And even the people there who were very experienced couldn't work out the pattern. And so I'm thinking, and they were doing the same thing. They were including the yarn over with the next knit one as being the yarn over, and they couldn't work it out. So for an hour, we all just sat there, and I kept saying, oh, look, don't worry, just pass it back. And I was like, no, I want to work this out. But they couldn't. And so I think it really was a case of terminology. So my point here is, while it didn't cause me an issue in that I wasn't putting the bead in the wrong place, although I've got something further to say on that, it was just my different understanding of how the pattern was written. So I thought that was very interesting. This has been a very rambly story to get to this point, but hopefully you see what I mean. That our understanding and different semantics, I guess, it comes down to, of how to write a pattern can really influence the end product. Now, what I was saying was, as you can see, the eyes are even, they're in the right place. But because I had slightly rewritten the pattern, I realized as I was going along on the next row that I'd actually put one of the eyes one stitch too close to the other one. So it would have meant that they weren't even. But luckily, my extensive beading skills of having done one row of beading meant I figured out how to move it back on the next row. So that was very nice that I didn't have to unknit an entire row. I could just go along, pick off the bead, rehook that stitch back together and put the bead back on the next stitch along. So I was very pleased with myself. It might be a very simple thing for people who have done a lot of beading, but I have not, so I was very happy with my result, resulting learned skill and resulting product. So this will definitely be finished probably today because there's now only sort of the border to go on the shawl. This will also mean I will have it finished in time for the inside number 23 Harry Potter knit along, because it has owls and the shawl is called Hogwarts Express, which is of course, well, if you are familiar with Harry Potter, it is of course a Harry Potter reference. And this is going to be a Mother's Day present for my mum, and it's Mother's Day 2 weeks tomorrow here in Australia, and I think the US as well. So I'm very pleased to have that done. And I've just realised I'm looking at it, I haven't shown you the yarn. So this is the rest of the ball. I'm going to have quite a bit left. And it's a shame because the part of the shawl before the owls is quite narrow. So it's a shame because I could have done more, but you know, never mind. I'm also a bit worried about blocking it because the pattern says not to block the owls because, you know, superwash yarn can expand and I don't want them to lose their look, but I cannot not block a shawl. I love wet blocking. I think that really relaxes the stitches. So I guess I can do it, and if the owls become, you know, lost, I could try putting it in the dryer. I'm a bit scared with the beads, but maybe I can put it in a laundry bag or something. But does anyone have any suggestions for that in terms of blocking cable patterns? Let me know. But yes, the yarn, Jinx Yarn Strong Sock in the lavender tea colorway, which is the perfect description of this yarn in my opinion. Beautiful lavenders, the different variations of tone, the tea color, some white, gorgeous. And I know Mum is going to love this. And I was telling her that I was beading something, and I said, oh, and it might be for someone's Mother's Day present. And she said, oh, how exciting. exciting. So that was very cute, and I know she's going to love it. And on the tea theme, this is in my bag from a homespun house with the gorgeous teacups and the lovely gingham to represent a tablecloth. And the final project I've been working on this week is my sock yarn blanket. So I'm participating in a couple of blanket knit-alongs. There's the hashtag Sock Blanket Madness that Sally from the Wool Diaries podcast is doing. And that's, I think, just running for this week. So it started last weekend. And today might even be the last day, actually. I'm definitely not going to win because I've only done a few. Let me see. So, this is all floppy and very hard to show you. And I'm partway through. This yarn is very fun. And Shannon from the Sock Cetera podcast is also having a blanket knit along. Hers goes for a little bit longer, I think possibly even to the end of May. So I'll be doing some extra squares for that. I'll just be doing some squares, but it's fun to have a knit along and get involved with lots of people. So for Sally, Wool Diaries, hers, I think she's going to have a winner for the person who does the most number of squares in the week. As I said, that won't be me. I've only done 3, but that's okay. It's just been lovely to knit on, especially now that it's coming up to winter. It's going to be very nice indeed to have this on me, and it's doing quite well, getting quite big. Nothing compared to some people's, but it's not a competition between people. It is simply a lovely project to be working on. My final project has only just started. It's going to be a washcloth. I'm using, I think this is Knit Picks cotton yarn, Dishy I think it's called, for making dishcloths or face washes. This is going to be for the charity knit along that Sally Jane and Rachel do on the Pink Hair Girl podcast. They put together packs for a children's burns unit at a children's hospital in South Africa, so I'll be making a few of these. They go in toiletry packs for the mothers or the caregivers that stay in the hospital with the children who are burned. So just going to be a plain one, I think. I might throw some patterning into the middle, who knows. But I'm going to do a few of these as my commute projects because they're very easy. This is the Nana's Favourite Washcloth pattern. Again, you'll see a link to my Ravelry page, and then you can click on the pattern itself. You just increase up in a triangle, then once you reach as wide as you want it to be, you start decreasing down to the other end. Very simple pattern and a very good cause. Now, speaking of Sally Jane and Rachel, remember that starting from May, going into the end of June, we have the opposites knit along going. So pretty much anything you can demonstrate how it fits into an opposites theme, you can enter. So have a look at Sally Jane's thread on her Ravelry group because it'll have the rules. We usually have pretty similar rules, and so you can enter your prizes into both of our threads, so have a chance to win prizes from both of us. So just double check her rules as well as mine, just make sure you're following along. They're usually pretty general. My rules with all of my knit alongs is that, or make along, so it doesn't just have to be knitting, it can be crochet, weaving, spinning, anything fibre related. You must be a member of my Ravelry group, the YarnderWoman podcast group. And if you are a prize winner, I usually give a 4-week time frame for the person to get in touch with me to say that they've seen or heard their name being announced. If I don't hear from the winner within 4 weeks, or I usually go a few weeks over, I do redraw for the prize, just to keep things moving, keep it fair for the lovely designers or creators who have donated the prizes for us. So just have a look in the thread. Any other rules? I think I will have that whips are fine, works in progress are fine, but you have to finish your project within the knit along period, which is the beginning of May to the end of June 2016. And of course, new projects welcome as well. So in terms of opposites, you can have anything like it's winter here, but you're creating something for summer, or vice versa. It's coming up to summer where you are, but you're making something for winter. The yarn or pattern you use can be from the other side of the world. You might usually knit toe-up socks, but you're deciding to knit cuff down. It's the first pattern you ever bought ages ago, but it's the latest yarn you've ever bought. You know, make it work, essentially, as long as you explain how it's fitting the opposites criteria, it'll probably be fine. I'm going to have a chatter thread as well as a finished object thread, and there'll be prizes for both of those threads. So make sure you come and talk about what you're planning, show us your works in progress photos as you go. And then if and when you finish your finished objects, you can pop them in that, which will be chatter free. So that way we can just see all the finished objects. We're going to have some wonderful prizes, which I will announce in the next episode. I've had some fantastic, generous donations coming through, so I will let you know all about that next time. So do go and join in the chatter, get planning. You've got the 2 months to work through what you might want to do. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I will also announce next time the winners from our hat knit along. So I don't know if you'll see this in time to still have a chance to enter that, so maybe not, but I'm sending good vibes out to everyone who's hat knitting. I've been very lucky to get some pattern gifts from some knitting friends lately. I was given, as I mentioned earlier, the Seeds of Change shawl by Quilter Caroline, which is just lovely, and one of you will be winning that in the next episode for the hat knit along. I also was lucky enough to be given a copy of Neptune's Tide by Benjamin Crudwig, and Benjamin and I have been chatting on Instagram, and I didn't win a competition that he'd run for his shawl pattern, but he so kindly gave me one anyway, so thank you, Benjamin. It's just beautiful. And my lovely friend Julia, who lives over the other side of Australia, who's 9Crafty11, she gave me a copy of the Fiery shawl, and she said it reminded her of me because the finished object that is the pattern photo is in black and red. I wonder how she knew I liked black and red. But I'm looking forward to making that, and I think I will definitely make it in black and red. But I haven't decided which lovely shade of red yarn that I will use. Maybe Madeline Tosh, because I've got some lovely tart for the red and the Victorian Gothic for the black. I think that would look lovely together, but I'm not sure yet, so I'm still working that out. So thank you very much, Caroline, Benjamin and Julia, for those lovely pattern prizes. Prizes, gifts, presents, it's all the same, isn't it? It's a prize for me for being your friend, though being your friend is enough of a prize. A few weeks ago, Damien and I were at a very cool bookshop in Perth that is called Diabolic, and they had a book sale on. And one of the books was this gorgeous one, Hello Kitty, Hello 40, celebrating 40 years of Hello Kitty. And the book producers or editors have got a whole lot of artists together to do some comics, if I can hold this up, do some comics of Hello Kitty, little couple of page things, in their own art style. So there's all different styles of art with Hello Kitty in them, which I think is so cute. I'm a big Hello Kitty fan. Obviously a link to Japan there, so that's been very fun. But when I was flicking through it, I'd sort of already decided I was going to get the book, but I found one with knitting in it, so I'm going to show it to you. There's no words, so I'll just hold it up so you can see it. A Yarn of a Yarn. By Becca Moore. How cute is that? Oh. Dreams of yarn over a big scarf to be tucked in, tucked in into that scarf by the knitter. Isn't it so cute? So yes, very, very fun book that I have been very much enjoying. I'm now going to head off because I'm going out to lunch with a very good friend who I haven't seen for many years. We're going to a vegan restaurant that I have mentioned before, but I'm going to take a little bit of video and some photos to show you next time. I'm so looking forward to the vegan cheesecake, possibly the green tea flavoured one. I've had that twice, but it's like, you know, it's that hard thing. Do I try a new flavour or do I go for the one that I really, really love? I'm sure they're all going to be delicious, but oh, it's hard. Speaking of green tea, I went to a green tea cafe the other day with Mum. It's called Little Matcha Girl, so a play on Little Match Girl, matcha being the green tea powder. and so delicious. I had a green tea served as you would in a tea ceremony, and a green tea gateau cake. Mum had a lemon and yuzu citrus cheesecake. Oh, so good. It's not very close to my house, so we just happened to be in the area, so that's why we went. But I'm going to have to make a bit of a green tea pilgrimage, I think, because Sophie the teen loves green tea. Sweet green tea, not the matcha thick tea ceremony kind, but a matcha latte she'd be all over. So with that, I'm going to go start preparing myself for which flavour of cheesecake I might want. It's a big decision, isn't it? One can't rush these thoughts. Can you tell I like cheesecake? Thank you very much for spending some time with me. It has been lovely catching up. I'm hoping to record in a week's time. I know I've said that a few times and it just hasn't happened. But I have plans next weekend all over it, because I want to announce the hat cow winners as soon as possible, because there have been some lovely entries and the chatter in that thread has been wonderful. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for spending time with me. Enjoy the rest of your day and happy crafting. Bye bye.